now we would like to move on to another Disney Plus property in Ahsoka, the finale.
Well, it's episode 7 and the finale.
Yes, episode 7 and the finale. We didn't get to review both. So yeah, I'll say I was less of a fan, I think, of episode 7 than I was of episode 8. But kind of base level thoughts, I think these might be my least favorite episodes of the season. I think they're super action heavy, not super story heavy. I don't think I think the finale, I mean, it has some good moments with action. But there's a lot of points where it looks sloppy for me, and I don't love what I'm watching. Same with cinematography. There's not like I was mentioning earlier. I mean, and like people were just, I mean, I didn't hate it as much as like people online because they were ripping this finale apart. But I mean, you could see it in choreography and cinematography. It just like the camera was so stale. The choreography of the stormtroopers was so bad. Not that the fights, like the lightsaber fights, were like bad or anything. They just weren't amazing for me. But yeah, and I, I'm okay with how generally like it sets up the next season. But I think I did want more from a season 1, story wise. But yeah, that's kind of how I am feeling.
Yeah.
Non-spoiler.
Yeah, I guess non-spoilery. I honestly, episode 7 is a bit of a blur. I don't know.
I can kind of go through it when we get there.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Overall feeling after all of them, I have honestly not seen what a lot of people have been saying about the finale in general, about how they feel about it. I certainly don't think I hate it or dislike it like a ton. There are things that I definitely don't like about it, but there's a lot of things that, like, action wise, I agree, but I feel like that's kind of been the way that a lot of the show's been anyways. So I think
I was just gonna say, I think like we really liked the action that we got when they were on like that Red Forest planet. Like all 3 fights I thought were like pretty well done.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of the
same
fights,
with the Anakin fight.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the fights didn't bother me. I definitely wasn't blown away or like super super crazy about them.
Yeah.
But I do feel like most of the episode was, let's just have an action scene go the whole way, which that isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the story of it was not as engaging.
Yeah. I think that's the problem of doing 2 back-to-back action episodes, was where you just kind of get bored after a while.
Well, I mean, action is just boring if you don't have an interesting story alongside, like if you don't have,
that's not even my problem with, because I think the story is interesting, you know.
But there's no, like, if it's just action and it's not moving the plot forward necessarily, or like creating interesting dynamics between characters, it's not as interesting. You could
argue like some of the fights in John Wick are very not moving the story forward, but
yes. Sure, but you go to John Wick for incredible action.
Okay, so you're saying that movie can break the rules for you?
Well, if your project is based on having, like, if you go to, like, no, I don't think anybody's going to see Star Wars to just be like lightsaber fighting for like 30 minutes, which would be cool, but like, I mean, we've even talked about, there's John Wick sequences that like go on a bit too long.
Sure,
it's the same thing. Like,
they're not always perfect. Yeah.
It's not excluded from the rule, but when you're solely going to it, like a kung fu action movie, when you're going to a movie to specifically see the stunts and the action, I think that's a bit different. When you're mostly been like a story based show, you know.
That's fair. You want to get in the spoilers now?
No,
you don't want to get into spoilers?
No, yeah, let's get.
Okay. Yeah, so episode 7, that one starts off where they start in that New Republic trial where Hera's at the court scene.
Right.
So I feel like that's a scene that's not super for you. I feel like you probably didn't like that one.
Well, that's no. I mean,
because you weren't loving the court stuff earlier this season. It's like kind of what I was implying.
It's just some of it was like, how could you be so stupid?
You're talking about the Z guy, or I can't remember his name.
And but like this episode did kind of play things out a bit more, but I mean, just to be like a nerd, why would this guy, like, they didn't even play the tape when like C-3PO walks in. Like, they didn't play the audio recording. They were just like, yeah, I mean, I guess if Senator Organa says like she okayed it, like, we're just, gonna not say anything. Because they could have played, they'd be like, he could have been like, no, play it. I want to hear. Like,
sure, but then if he's wrong, you're like, I just forced them to like play it for proof, like basically implying he doesn't believe Leia when she's like, Leia and C-3PO are like heroes of the galaxy. Like, you can't doubt the legends of the galaxy.
But imagine how interesting that would be.
Sure, I feel you. But they played a trump card. Yeah,
I wish. Do I like C-3PO showing up?
Yeah, that was very nice. Yeah,
kind of.
I liked it a lot
because like I liked it, but it would have been also cool to get somebody to come in to actually be Leia.
Sure.
Instead of being like,
I would be so okay with like them getting recast at this point. I feel like everyone is on that page where like we just kind of want to see recasts of like Luke, Han, and Leia, and I don't think they're ever going to go that route. Unfortunately, with those 3 characters, they're just like 2 iconic faces, I think, for them. But yeah, I don't think it makes a ton of sense for Leia not to show up here.
Yeah, but whatever. It was cool. It was fine. It was a bit strange to notice how like that is C-3PO, but like now that we've moved into such a modern medium and modern Star Wars, that his way that he moves, when you see like Hugh Yang, you're a bit like, that's very old. Like the whole
sure. Yeah, it's a very that's interesting because. I mean, I guess you could just say that's just like how badly Kid Anakin built C-3PO.
But he's like been on the Senate now, like.
Sure, he could have some upgrades, you're thinking. Yeah. I don't know.
But I guess that's how protocol droids are, so.
Yeah, they just need to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of wraps up like the Hera plot, and then we kind of cut to Ahsoka. And she's training on her ship with the Anakin hologram, which was like a little tease, but like I kind of liked it. It really just kind of like driving home the point of this is like her biggest, I don't want to say mentor, but just her like biggest influence in her life, it feels like, is Anakin. And she's thinking about him a lot. And I thought it was cool that he was in his Clone Wars outfit. That was neat.
Sure.
And then whales jump out of hyperspace. They get bombed.
That was pretty cool.
That was neat. Yeah. And then they dart off again in light speed, and they're kind of left alone. Thrawn hears about the arrival, and basically calls off most of his defenses, and yeah, so basically, that's where we get to. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes here. So Ezra basically, they get cornered by Shin and the trooper, like the gang, like the, I don't know what you call them, the Raiders, the gang, yeah. And Sabine's like, hey, take back your lightsaber, and he's like, nah, the Force is my ally, I'm good, which I think is very cool. I'm totally feeling that. Although he doesn't stick with just the Force for that long, he switches to a gun. But yeah, and then Ahsoka flies in with Yang, and so first she fights Balon, where she can't beat him again, which is crazy. And so she kind of escapes off and then meets up with them to kind of fight off Shin. and the Raiders. And yeah, so basically you cut back to Thrawn. He's like, hey, this was all to delay them. Like, this was all part of my plan here, you know? And which is, I love that. And yeah, basically that's kind of the end of episode 7. And then episode 8 is where that starts off with the really cool scene from Morgan Elsbeth, where she gets gifted the shadow heart or whatever, and this blade from the Night Sisters that can stop a lightsaber, which is super cool. I love that. The blade of Talzin, that's what it is. Yeah, and she gets these black eyes and cool style. But yeah, and then we get some great dialogue with dialogue with Ezra and He Yang. Basically, He Yang's like, how'd you learn how to build a lightsaber? And he's like, oh, my master Kanan. And he's like, well, I taught your master. And yeah, I thought it was a really nice moment. Ezra gets
and he was even
blue
like,
saber.
You're the only other person who's had that handle other than Caleb. And,
you're right.
Which I really, it's frustrating. Huh?
You want to call Cap on that?
No. I'm just really frustrated that every single time that I want to see somebody wield a green lightsaber in live action, like again, the first time being Luke, but like when we get to Mark Hamill, he's fucking, by Last Jedi, he's got a blue lightsaber.
A blue one, yep.
And now we get Ezra, who had a green lightsaber. He started off with a blue one, but now he's got a green one, and now it's back to blue. And I'm like, the blue's cool. This is just a really big pet peeve, but
behind. So how did he get his first saber?
He built it with Kanan, and it was like half of it was a pistol and also a saber. So he would like shoot. And it would also be a saber.
So did he get that? Like, was that a kyber crystal they just already had? Like, did they explain that at all? Or
it's been a minute. I don't know.
Do you remember about the green lightsaber?
He kind of just had it, I think.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm curious if like what was his natural like tone, you know, because like they are supposed to mean different things, and maybe like, but you know what, you would logically, if he said that, you know, the Force is my ally, I don't need a saber, then he would be a green lightsaber. Like, just truthfully, like that's what he would be. So if that, my thought is that they had like a blue kyber crystal just kind of like lying around. I don't know why. And they decided to put it for this episode. And so that's not his true color. That's just the lightsaber he has right now.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Because that, to me, logically doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
But yeah, and then we also get some nice dialogue with Sabine and Ahsoka, where Ahsoka's like, I'm always going to stick next to you. Like, don't even worry about it. And then they get super attacked on the way to Thrawn's ship. Just bombs and raiders and troops and but yeah, they get in there kind of with luck somehow. And yeah, so they basically force Thrawn to send Morgan down, and it's like, hey, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to make the sacrifice too, you know? And
well, I mean, we didn't even get to that point. That you had like the stormtroopers all ambush them.
And all the stormtroopers volunteered to be sacrificed.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, that shows you like who Thrawn is, you know, like that he can get that many people to volunteer for that.
But then we get fucking zombies.
Well, that was after. Oh, well, no, Morgan was there for that. No, maybe she wasn't there for that.
Nope.
Yeah, so that is, I will say, no, we get zombies after.
Yeah,
for sure.
They get the stormtroopers come down and they're all fighting them, and then they kill them all, and then the Night Sisters start chanting something, and then they all come back to fucking life.
Right, but that's when they're on the ship. They fight Morgan off the ship, don't they?
Who? The zombies? They fight. No, they're not on. They never get on the ship. They're always just on that tower.
Then what are the? Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
That's why, like,
at
the end, like, Sabine had to push Ezra.
I mean, that was definitely my one of my bigger like the first scenes. I was like, yikes, the choreography is not great right now. Feels like they were really nerfing the main characters to have to deal with the zombie threat. I, and just movements felt slower than they should be, you know. But yeah,
can we acknowledge the fact that why zombies?
Well, because the Night Sisters, you know.
Why? I don't need. I can deal with magic, but reanimating dead people.
Yeah, I mean it's in their wheelhouse, but yeah, I feel you. It's not the greatest story beat, you know.
I mean, you're almost there to bringing somebody back to life.
Yeah, pretty well. I mean, you're not gonna have them speak or anything, but yeah.
I mean, but it's that's a level of magic that that
you didn't really need. Yeah,
I don't need zombie stormtroopers. Sure. Now it's just gonna be undead stormtroopers in those fucking caskets that they're bringing onto the ship.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, basically they deal with them. They're pushing them up to the top of the tower, and that's kind of where Morgan beats them, right? Yeah, and like they have a really solid fight for the most part. I really wished that the powers that she got and the sword of Talzin was like she had something more than just to like fight Ahsoka. Like I thought she would have some like actual magic like against her, and I was kind of confused at like where did she get these skills fighting wise that she can like match Ahsoka?
Well, I mean, she was fighting her pretty well in the Mandalorian season 2 episode where they meet.
That's funny. Yeah, I have no recollection of her in season 2. But yeah, so yeah, there's that fight. She even destroys one of Ahsoka's blades, which is wild. But I don't know if you noticed, like the entire time we're like, maybe not the entire time, but most of the time where they're fighting, like she just has like the entirety of the stormtroopers like pointed at Ahsoka, and they're just not taking a single shot.
Right.
And I'm just like, what are we doing right now? Yeah. Like you could kill her right now.
But also, I'm more frustrated that like it felt like we haven't seen these characters interact since Mandalorian season 2. Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to feel a lot of drama, I feel like. But there's no drama.
Yeah, I didn't feel it all. No, there's no dialogue. Yeah.
There's no dialogue. It was just a fight. And it was a somewhat cool fight, but it was also flawed in certain ways. Great. And it was just like I wanted more out of the Morgan Elsbeth character than just this.
I was bummed that she died. Yeah. I thought we were gonna get a lot more. I thought she was honestly gonna be like Thrawn's new right hand one person, you know?
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But yeah, basically, you know, Sabine does this insane push jump, which I feel like is kind of out of her wheelhouse, to be honest.
She was able to pick up a lightsaber with the Force.
Right. Like, why would it not be the other way around? Why would Ezra not be like, yo, let me Force push you right now?
For real.
Yeah, right. But, you know, that's how like Ahsoka wins her fight. Sabine helps and stays. And yeah, basically they're not there in time. But, you know, Ezra makes it onto the ship. He's able to escape this world with Thrawn. And, you know, before they escape, Thrawn gives a really cool message to Ahsoka. I love that intimidating, like, you know, we might never meet again, but it was a pleasure. And yeah. But yeah, so then Ezra is able to kind of unexplainably kind of escape the ship by disguising as a stormtrooper and meets back up with Hera at her base. And that's kind of the end of their story until we get to season 2. And then, yeah, we see Ahsoka and Sabine escape with the help of Huyang, where he comes in and saves the day with his ship. And then you know, at this point I'm just like, wow, we're really gonna get nothing with Balon and Shin, huh?
Right.
But then we got like two 30-second scenes where it kind of shows what they're going to do next season, which is Balon. There's a lot to get in with Balon, but he's got like the power, like he's standing on a statue of the father, and the father is some like he was like the leader of this group called the Ones, and they were like these Force deities. And it's just like, you're like, holy crap. And this was like all Legends canon. So they're bringing a bunch of new canon into Star Wars, which is so exciting. It's just such a bummer that Ray Stevenson won't be there to play it. But I think that is also what Sabine and Ahsoka will be moving towards next season, because I think they're staying for a reason on that planet. And I think it's to get closer to whatever that is, that power.
Right.
Yeah. But that's kind of how we end. Thrawn goes to Dathomir, which is cool. I'm gonna love to see Dathomir in season 2, and and that's the show. But yeah, I mean, just not. As you can tell, not a ton of dialogue and story beats. It's a lot of action, kind of resolving the major plot of this season in a way. Thrawn just kind of gets to escape, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not entirely certain that there's going to necessarily be in Ahsoka season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh no, there definitely will be. There's no way they can just leave Ahsoka's story right now till the movie. There's just not a chance. I just don't see it.
I mean, maybe hopefully, but also like I don't know. I don't know how you get.
Plus, I know it's not been greenlit yet, but I've heard reports that it's like already being worked on. So yeah.
Well, regardless, it was a little there. At the end of this series, I don't particularly know what the point of the show was, other than to get Ezra and Thrawn back, and
Sabine as a Jedi.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
guess that's really it.
Yeah. But that's really it. Like, it was like, oh, we just need to make sure this happens, but everything in between is just like.
And you could say Ahsoka got some good character development.
Did she? I guess.
Yeah, she finally was able to move past her guilt with Anakin. I feel like that's a pretty huge character plot point.
Yeah, but if you're not like inundated with Star Wars lore, you're just kind of like, yeah, that was good, I guess, that she got to. It was just a random episode, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of happened, and then.
In a way, yes, it didn't serve the overall story of the show, but it served Ahsoka, her story.
But I'm
the show is called Ahsoka for, and you're like, well, come on, let's make it more about Ahsoka. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, go on.
I am disappointed that we didn't get more Baylan, which I can understand that they're trying, like they wanted to make
set him up,
like a tease, of like, oh,
but
my God.
It's such a short scene, like.
I mean, it's cool, but it's also, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that much about the father and the daughter and all of that.
I had to read up on it because I had never heard about it. Yeah.
But it could be cool. But the thing is that there's things about Ahsoka that them going to a faraway galaxy and like and doing some of that lore is cool. And even the Night Sisters, like I'm willing to go there. I'm just, it's starting to get to a point where I'm like, is this Star Wars anymore? Like it's starting to get a bit like magical.
Well,
like,
I don't have any problem with the Night Sisters. They were a great addition to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
I agree, but now we're getting to like zombies, and now we have these Force deities that were carved into mountains, and
I mean it's crazy. Yeah, we're going to new areas, but I think that in a way is more exciting for Star Wars for me than Star Wars has been in a while.
Sure,
but yeah, I think my overall number I'd maybe give this season is like a 7.
Yeah,
and I think probably my favorite character of the whole season's Baylan for sure.
Yeah, it's Baylan and
Thrawn maybe. Thrawn was pretty great.
It's a bit of a problem when some of your favorite characters.
Both your favorite characters are villains.
Like, I cared more about what was, because I wanted Thrawn to like leave.
Yeah, me too. In a way, yeah.
Like, I didn't want him to just stay there and you know, and lose. Like, I wanted to see more Thrawn. I wanted to see more Balin.
Right.
You know, I wanted to see more Sabine, but Sabine just started to get like.
Sabine kind of got worse for me over the show.
Yeah.
She just kind of became stagnant at a point.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a enjoyable season.
There were things I really liked.
Maybe not all of it, but yes, there were things that I liked, probably more than I didn't like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Excited sort of for season 2. No, not sort of. I'm excited for season 2. I'm still excited. Yeah.